Now, also coming up today, we see that there is a new campaign coming out that Ron Paul is actually pushing, trying to get 9/11 documents declassified. He interviewed Walter Jones, who has put forth a House bill. In this story today from Paul Joseph Watson, he points out Congressman Ron Paul has called on Americans to get behind a campaign to draw attention to U.S. Representative Walter Jones's House Resolution 428, which demands that the president order the 28 pages of this 9/11 report declassified in full. So you can support this with a Twitter campaign, a social media campaign, hashtag declassify. InfoWars is also throwing its support behind this cause under the hashtag release the 28 pages. Now, I want to read for you this quote from the interview that Ron Paul had with Congressman Jones. Congressman Jones said this about the 9/11 report. He said, you have to go down into a room that's guarded by uniformed officers. Then you also have to have an FBI person to sit there in the room. Bear in mind, this is a U.S. congressman you're talking about. You can't make any notes. The Bush people do not want it released. It's not a national security issue, but it would be embarrassing to the previous administration if this information is opened to the public. There'll be no hope for America's future if the American people don't know the truth about a tragedy such as 9/11. We see these same types of restrictions put on U.S. congressmen and senators when they want to learn about the Trans-Pacific Partnership or the Transatlantic Partnership, trade partnerships that are selling our sovereignty, that are selling our privacy, that is selling things like CISPA, SOPA, ACTA, PIPA, things that have been voted down by our elected representatives and yet are going to be part of this trade agreement being negotiated in secret that congressmen and senators are not allowed to see any more than they're allowed to see the 9/11 report. Now, Congressman Jones also had this to say about the ISIS situation. He said, arming Syrian rebels will be a total failure. Now, this came up during debate yesterday in Congress on whether or not to send aid to ISIS. And this is what he had to say. He said, I think of the $1.7 trillion that we spent in Afghanistan and Iraq. I think about the 4,000 Americans that gave their lives, the 30,000 Americans wounded, and the 100,000 Iraqis who were killed. And here we go again. I don't care if the president is a Democrat or a Republican. This is a failed policy, and it will be proven to be a failed policy. He's absolutely right. We need more statesmen like Walter Jones, but unfortunately, they're in a very small minority because the House approved plans to arm and train ISIS in order to fight ISIS. This is an article from Kurt Nimmo on Infowars.com today. He points out that yesterday on Wednesday, the House of Representatives approved Obama's plan to train and arm, quote, moderate Syrian rebels to counter the growing threat of the Islamic State organization. Now, Kurt Nimmo points out that even the New York Times dispelled the idea that there is any such thing as moderate Syrian rebels. They said in the New York Times, nowhere in rebel-controlled Syria is there a secular fighting force to speak of. That was back on April 27th, 2013. My sense is that there are no seculars, said Elizabeth O'Baggy of the Institute for the Study of War. She told the New York Times. Also, Kurt Nimmo points out that al-Nusra and ISIS merged back in this last June, and that factions within the FSA have pledged allegiance to ISIS, and that there's around 20,000 FSA mercenaries trained by the United States. And he also points out, of course, as we have many, many times, that the CIA is providing the weapons. He said the CIA has shipped weapons to al-Qaeda groups in Syria since at least 2012, a fact that's revealed also by the New York Times. The shipments included, as of March last year, more than 160 military cargo flights by Jordanian, Saudi, and Qatari military cargo planes. That's it. So that's what we have, essentially an organization that has been created, trained, equipped by the American government, and now we have to equip and train some more people that are supposedly opposite to them, that are going to fight them, and yet they are one and the same.
I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there, and I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox Special at InfoWarsLife.com.